right, welcome to another Fragments of Silicon Reviews. Normal time, normal night. You know, after the hustle and bustle of E3, we're basically back to normal for the extreme temporary. More on that on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But suffice it to say, we're back on our normal schedule. And we've got two games this week. They're both fairly light games in terms of mechanics and all, because once again, E3 week. Didn't have all that much time to play games. Because we were too busy watching all of the games. I know, it's like, when you say it out like that, it sounds weird.
Yeah, insert joke about first world problems.
Sort of. But it's more, we were busy watching, the games that people intend to buy throughout the next year, as opposed to, actually playing games. So, be that as it may, first game up is The Painter's Apprentice. Not to be confused with the, I'm not sure if it was a novel, but, the 18th century book of the same name. As the title might infer, this game is painting-based. Indeed,
not like Mario Paint-based.
Yeah. To be curt, that was a bit of a missed opportunity, quite honestly, because the painting motif is, entwined with, everything you see on screen, but you don't, actually use the paint, like a paintbrush to create, I don't know, a bridge or something like that. No, the painting is more like you're trapped in a painting and you're trying to get out. Like, your master has a magic paintbrush that literally creates worlds on paint, and he sucks you in order to, you're going to inherit his power should you survive the ordeal. And the game is separated into 7 worlds, each based off of a style of painting. Trying to remember, like Cubism and
So the first world's realism, the second one's impressionism.
Yeah, impressionism, that's what I was trying to think of. I'm trying to think if surrealism was in there.
I think it was.
And that, and that style of painting influences the aesthetics of the world that you're in. But that's literally the background. In terms of mechanics, that doesn't actually change from world to world all that much. I mean, you do get new gimmicks, but they're not really they're not necessarily based off of painting. Like, the first new move you get is a paint shot. It's like, it fits the motif in a generic sense, but there, it's like this shot, this kind of attack could have been anything. And that's kind of one of the problems I had with the game here. It's like, the whole painter's aesthetic is just that. It's an aesthetic, for the most part. Like, the deepest it gets is with the color wheel. It's like, you have to change your brush color between the 3 primary colors. The 3... I'm trying to think, because there are actually 2 sets of primary colors. It's the red...
Pigment.
Yeah, the red, yellow, blue set, not the magenta, cyan, yellow. I'm remembering
the primary colors of light are still red and blue, but green instead of yellow. It's weird.
Yeah.
Cyan, magenta, and yellow are secondary colors.
Not actually the case in terms of paint. In terms of pigments, no, it's red, yellow, and blue, because the secondary...
That's what I was saying.
Like red, green, and blue, that's the vision primary colors.
Right.
In terms of pigments, it's red, yellow, blue, because you combine those 3 to make the secondary colors.
Right, that's what I was saying.
Yeah. No, I want to make that clear to the audience.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, because green is actually a secondary color on this color wheel, so to say, because you combine red and blue, you get green, and that actually factors into the gameplay in the sense that you will have enemies that are green, are violet, are orange, and you have to attack with both colors before you can damage them.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, that's about as deep as the whole paint mechanic gets in terms of actually using the aesthetics and principles of paint in terms of the gameplay. It's not nothing, but it's pretty shallow and generic, quite frankly. And the game is a 2D platformer in the classical sense. You go to point A to point B, but the difficulty, the challenge is getting the gold star, which can actually be quite the challenge, because you've got to meet 3 criteria. You've got to kill all the enemies, you've got to make sure you don't die, and you've got to complete the level within a certain amount of time. It's probably not recommended you do that on your first run.
Yeah.
And as far as what those stars are built towards, there is a secret world that only unlocks if you get all of the gold stars.
Of course there is. I think that's a legal requirement.
Yeah. And each level each world is composed of 10 stages. At the end of each stage, there is a boss encounter. The boss encounters were among the weakest parts of the game, mainly because the bosses really didn't put up a fight.
They were generally the same as maybe a certain gimmick.
Well, and they were really easy.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's about it in terms of the game. I mean, at least as far as its core goes, there is additional collectible paintings. There is another part of this. The game's each level starts out in black and white, and as you jump, you fill the world with color, and the painting is based off of the style of the world.
Like that old Orphan Trolls game on the Super Nintendo or Nintendo or whatever it was.
I never played that, so don't know. But
yeah, I don't think it was like a common game or anything.
Anyway, but the purpose of this is to find hidden ledges, and those will take you to the other collectible, which are paintings. And the paintings serve as encyclopedia entries. Each painting is represented, it is a painting by a famous painter of this particular art style, kind of deal. So, this game does aim to be, at the very least, a nominal teaching tool. That being said, it's not anything you couldn't literally get off of Wikipedia or what have you. But it is there. Like, let's see. There are also various traps, spikes, falling platforms. Let's see. There are also there are levers that use the same color coding as the enemies. Like I said, the painting gimmick is integrated, but it's all just very surface level.
Yeah.
It's like, outside of like filling the world with color and the color wheel thing, there's not much here that really distinguish this as it needed to be paint. You needed to attack with a paintbrush. Now, on that note, this game is okay on the surface, like in terms of design and the placement, platforming. it's all okay. Like, it gets the job done, but it's, in terms of design, it really doesn't rise above functional most of the time. But unfortunately, this game also suffers from a lack of polish. Like, you'll notice it as you play the game, but like the hit detection's kind of spotty. Like, enemies will hit you when it doesn't look like they did. Hits won't register. The jumping is kind of bad. Like, sometimes you'll lose momentum and just fall down a pit.
Yeah.
It's like...
And sometimes when you try to land on a platform, you end up phasing right through it to some degree.
Yeah, it's like this game could have used more time in the oven. Like, I don't know how many people worked on it. And I get that, I'm willing to bet that this game only had like 1 or 2, maybe 3 people working on it, and resources were limited. Like, it's clearly a pretty small project, but it's like, shoddy hit detection is still shoddy hit detection, no matter what the scale. It's unfortunate. Let's see. Pricing. The game clocks in at $9.99, though it has been on sale for about half that. I think it was like, really, buying this game at $5 would be the optimal price. Like, I don't think, like, this game doesn't really have the gameplay or the content chops to really justify $10. So yeah, it's a wait for a sale on my end. Twilight, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. $5 is more suited for this game. It's not a bad game, but as Adam was saying, it kind of needs some polish. And the whole painting theme is, of course, on this. It's all surface face. It's a platformer that can be anything else, but it is a cute game. And I'd say if you're looking for something more simple to play, to relax, something like that, this might suit you.
Yeah, that's about where I am at. I mean, as a game, I'd have to rate it slightly below average, just for the fact that there is a distinct lack of polish there. I just can't. It's like, if that were fixed, that would rise it to just average.
Yeah.
This game doesn't have many grand aspirations, but not every game needs to do. Overall, it's a fine platformer. Just beware of some of the less than stellar mechanics. Now, on that note, that'll about do it for The Painter's Apprentice. Be sure to tune in after the break, as we'll be reviewing The Lady. Yes, that is just the name there. And, well, it's certainly the more interesting of this week's games. So I'll say that much at this point. Anyway, catch you then.